travel story and self-discovery story, one of my favorite ones by Pico Iyer, which starts with this phrase. It says, "We travel initially to lose ourselves, but we travel next to find ourselves." Now, one of my favorite travels of all times was back in 2007 and 2005 when I went to India. And if now I close my eyes, I can still remember its busy streets. I can still remember its vibrant cities, its extreme colors. I can still taste the spicy dishes, and I can still remember the women with their beautiful, beautiful saris. And I remember that I wanted to be a part of them. I wanted to blend in, even though my looks, as you understand, did not really help. I wanted to be part of them. I didn't want to be a firang, or a foreigner, as they say. And I realized after a couple of days that I picked up a few Hindu words. I was able to move my hands naturally and in order to express myself. And I even tried to bargain with the locals in order to get the best offers for the pashminas and the sandals. The last one did not work too well, I must admit, though. A few years afterwards, I find myself at the Oracle of Siwa in Egypt, and then at the sand dunes of Nida in Lithuania, and the same question comes to my mind. What am I here to lose? What am I here to find? How do I define my reality, and what is truth for me? A few weeks ago, Andreas Schleicher from OECD, he said, "The truth and success in life does not depend on the things we remember from what we learned at school, but on how able we are to adapt to change." And here, I think that in a global level, in most of the cases, our education system has not managed to do that, has not managed to empower people to actually be able to adapt to change and succeed in life. Because simply, life is not split into subjects, into 45-minute sessions or 15-minute breaks, and it definitely does not lie in textbooks. So what is it there? What is the purpose of education there? There is a lot of discussion that has started, and a lot of debate that takes place. And you'll probably hear many different aspects. People that say education is there to serve the market, that it's there to serve the individual, that it is there to serve the community or a greater good. Along with these questions, you're probably going to find different answers depending on the culture, the speaker, the time in history, or the location. So someone could say that there's actually not one answer about what the purpose of education is. Now, at the same time, there is also a lot of things that take place, a lot of trends that are shaking the education right now. Technology, gaming, experiential learning, they're just a few trends that are changing the system as it is. We have, at the same time, we're witnessing a huge competition in the area. Which is going to be the best university? Which has the most reputable teachers or the best reputation to the employers? Which has the best students with the best performance? Now, in this process, there is also a lot of discussion which happens about technology, because now we have schools that are in the cloud, as they say. We have countries that aim to be regional or topic-based education hubs. And we have technology that brings education to everybody. Because nowadays, learning takes place everywhere. It does not start at school, and it does not finish there. However, the family and the school, they still continue being relevant, in my view, because they are doing one thing. They are shaping characters. Along with this discussion and the trends, etc., there is a lot of discussion also about how to change things, how to improve the system. And a lot of people say that, we can fix it. We can improve a few elements, and that will improve the whole system. But my question is, how can we fix something that, in my view, in most of the cases, on a global level, it's already broken? Because think of this. Imagine you have a special occasion. It's a special occasion, and you've invited your friends home, and you want to bake a chocolate cake for them. You take the recipe from your mom or your best friend. You go to the supermarket, you buy the ingredients, you start doing the recipe, and at some point you realize that you've put way too much sugar, way too much. Like it's not eatable anymore. So what would you do then? Would you put more flour? Would you put eggs? Would you put chocolate, cocoa, in order to increase the bitterness so that it takes away a little bit of sweetness? I don't think so. So it's something important for you. I think you would start from scratch. You would go back to the supermarket, you would buy the ingredients, and you would start all over again. And I think that's what we need to do in the education system as well. We need to start from scratch. And as we do, I think we need to do a very, very simple thing. Ask. Ask the people, ask our students, ask our pupils about what they think, about what the best way is to teach chemistry, to learn chemistry, for example, or how they see their classroom looking like, or how they see the role of the professor or their teacher being. Do they see him as a mentor, as a facilitator, as a coach, as a subject expert, as what? Because I think that when in this process, I think asking them will actually reveal a lot of different things. But I think, unfortunately, most of us adults, we think that we have the answers, and we don't go into the process of asking them. I think that we've created a world for adults. I think even the question, what do you want to become when you grow up? As if somebody becomes something only is grown up. I think even that question is wrong. We've forgotten to actually tell our kids to enjoy and their childhood, because we make them anxious to grow up and do something when they grow up. We choose which school they're going to go to. We choose the clothes that they're going to wear or how they're going to have the room. We make decisions for them. So my suggestion is this: let's go and ask them, as teachers, as parents, as uncles, as co-students, whatever. Let's ask each other and see what comes up. And then let's see what we can do together. Because teaching someone to care for the community, teaching our kids to care for the community, to take action and feel responsible for whatever is happening, and for them to be able to redefine their reality. It is not enough to tell them. We need to do it with them, and we need to have them practicing that every day. Now, let me share something else that I was thinking. There is this whole discussion about, as I said, about the purpose of education, what it is. There is a lot of situations where we need to be going back and asking them as well what they think. And there is a lot of innovation that comes with technology, and the change that is bringing in the classroom, and is shaking the role of the teacher. Now, I think that there is also another really important issue that we need to see totally differently when we start from scratch. Because I have this theory that when all these crises, everything that we live, the financial crisis, the global economic crisis, it is not because we don't have experienced people in key decision-making power positions. It is not because these people in government or international organizations or the community, they don't know how to make decisions. Then what's wrong? You know, all these people normally come from the best universities. They have the best education. So what has happened? Where have we lost track? Because we see corruption, we see scandals every day. I think the reason is that in its attempt to measure itself, education has limited to just a mean of transferring knowledge. And I think the initial question of education, which has to do with shaping characters, with providing an education with character, as Gandhi said, that is something that is considered immeasurable, intangible, in some cases not the purpose of education. Now, I think that needs to change. And many people say, and who would teach ethics? Who would teach morals in education? And how would you do that? And when would you measure whether you have done a good job or not? And when? These are some fair points, but I think that it's not that I think the question is wrong. It's not that we don't know what is wrong or right. I think we've known that since we were small and we were playing hide and seek or football in our neighborhoods, and we knew that when somebody was cheating, was not doing something that was fair, we knew it. And at that point, we could feel it in our gut, and we were able to yell it out, to raise our voice and say, hey, the thing that you're doing is not right. So I think we know it. The question is not whether we know it or not, but we don't feel empowered to raise our voice. So here's an idea. Let's create an education system which counts its measure, not based on how many politicians or how many CEOs it produces, not based on how well it does in the rankings with regards to how the market system or how much money, let's say, their graduates get. But let's count it on the basis of its social footprint, on how much positive change its graduates actually give back to the society. And let's create the habit of actually sharing such examples. Let's create the habit of discussing it and reflecting upon it. And let's have one simple habit in our everyday lives. Let's just point out that what some are doing when they're putting their organizational or personal benefit in expense of the greater good, it's just not cool. Because empowering is one of the things that is really crucial for someone to be able to raise his or her voice when times get tough, when tough dilemmas in life come, such as when I work in a company and I see that my company cooks the books, as they say, or cheats. Do I report that, lose my job, and probably remain unemployed for a number of months, in the best case? Or do I stay quiet, keep my job, and be able to continue being able to feed my children? These are real life dilemmas. I think empowering is one critical thing. I was watching Sugatra Mitra's talk the other day. He's also known in TED. He's also known as the hole-in-the-wall guy. I don't know how many of you know it. He took computers and he put them in remote villages in India where illiteracy rates are really, really high. He just left them there. He didn't give any manual. He didn't give any teachers, nothing. He comes back a few weeks afterwards and he found out that the kids had not only learned how to operate the computer, understand the content that was on the computer, but they had also taught themselves English in order to do all the above. And he said that that factor that actually helped them to advance their knowledge so much that they reached the level of knowledge that pupils of the same age had in private schools in Mumbai and India was one very simple thing. The granny effect, as he says, or the grandma effect, or an older brother or an older sister or a teacher that was just standing next to these kids while they were trying to figure out that machine that was in front of them, and were saying, "You're doing a very good job. You're doing great. Go on. I really believe in you." Empowerment in its most simple and efficient way. And that has nothing to do with rankings, policies, strategies, funding, or anything of that sort. But it has to do with that single one-to-one relationship that the teacher has the absolute possibility and ability to build with his or her pupils within the classroom. Giving voice to values, though, raising our voice in front of ethical dilemmas is not an easy thing, naturally. And I think that one of the reasons is because we're afraid. We're afraid of the consequences. We're afraid of taking a risk. We're afraid of changing our lifestyle or changing in general. And fear is something normal. We've all experienced it, and we know how it feels. Our body experiences that too, and expresses that straight away. But the point is that when our body feels that, it also needs to reject it quickly. Otherwise, it goes into a defense mode. And in that defense mode, something happens in our brain, and that part that is responsible for learning, for being creative, for being imaginative, for being positive, shuts down. And when that part shuts down, under that defense mode, under fear, is when we decide to put our dreams and our hopes in the closet. It is when we think that the dreams we had when we were young, when we were small, to wear the red cape and save the world, or conquer the universe, or become the best teacher or the best astronaut there is, they were ridiculous. That was the time that we say, that is the time that we say that superheroes don't exist, that Santa is fake, and that one person cannot change anything. Now this spiral that we put ourselves in, under fear, into the defense mode, unfortunately leads to one situation, living our lives without purpose, without doing what we love. And ultimately leads to a situation where we don't love ourselves. And I think that that is an area that education needs to come and play a very significant role. I think what Sir Ken Robinson said as well in another TED Talk, he said, one of the things that we have inside of us, it's our element. It's where our talents and our passion meet. And a lot of people tell me, I don't know what that is. I haven't figured it out yet. I would not agree to that as well. I would say that we know where our element lies. It's just that something has happened, or a system until now has prohibited it from coming out, and something needs to take place in order for us to remember it again. And I think that's the role that education needs to come in and play. It needs to help people and support them, empower them to find their element, where their talents and their passion lies, and support them to actually make a difference and make a living through that. Now, as I close, I would like to leave you with a final thought and question, something that we can take afterwards. How would our world look like if each one of us was empowered and educated to lead a life with purpose under one simple happiness criterion? Sleeping peacefully at night, knowing that what we did that day for ourselves and the community is something that makes us proud, but also makes our kids and the future generations grateful. Thank you very much.